For years, tennis fans asked the wrong question. Who's the next Federer? Who's the next Nadal? Turns out, tennis didn't get a successor. It got a disagreement. Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, two players arriving at the same moment, but playing like they come from completely different futures. One looks like instinct turned into motion. The other looks like precision turned into inevitability. And when they step onto the same court, it doesn't feel like a match. It feels like tennis arguing with itself about what greatness should look like next. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Great champions are impressive. But rivalries? Rivalries make eras. Borg didn't become myth without McEnroe pushing against everything he represented. Sampras needed Agassi's rebellion. Federer needed Nadal's intensity to expose limits nobody thought existed. Djokovic didn't just join that story, he forced everyone to evolve beyond what they thought was possible. Because rivalry does something trophies cannot. It creates tension. It creates identity. It gives fans a reason to lean forward. And right now, tennis is standing in a rare moment of uncertainty. Federer and Nadal are gone. Djokovic continues defying logic, but even legends don't freeze time forever. The sport needs more than a new champion. It needs a new conflict. And Alcaraz versus Sinner might be exactly that. This isn't about who is better today. It's about what happens when two players rise together and refuse to let the other define the future alone. Because rivalries become legendary when neither side disappears. And in 2025, this rivalry stopped being potential. It became unavoidable. 3 Grand Slam finals, 1 season, different surfaces, different pressures, same tension. French Open Final 2025, Roland Garros, clay court tennis, where patience usually wins and chaos usually regrets its life choices. Except Alcaraz didn't arrive to be patient. He played like someone trying to bend clay to his personality. Explosive movement, creative improvisation, the kind of shot-making that feels slightly illegal. Across the net? Jannik Sinner. Calm enough to make chaos uncomfortable. Measured enough to slow momentum without looking defensive. This wasn't just a match. It felt like two philosophies testing whether they could coexist. And here's the key insight. Neither player looked surprised by the moment. That's when you know a rivalry has graduated from hype to reality. But clay rewards endurance. Grass rewards nerve. And Wimbledon was waiting. Wimbledon Final 2025. Wimbledon doesn't allow hesitation. It strips tennis down to instinct and timing. And suddenly, the rivalry sharpened. Alcaraz looked like pure momentum, energy surging through every point. Sinner looked like controlled inevitability, decisions made before the rally even began. This wasn't just about execution, it was about identity. Should tennis be expressive or efficient? And here's what made Wimbledon different. Neither player tried to outlast the other. They tried to out-adapt each other. Adjustments came faster, momentum swings felt heavier, and fans realized something important. This wasn't a rivalry built on one dominant surface. It worked everywhere, which meant it wasn't going away. And then came New York, where pressure doesn't just exist, it multiplies. US Open Final 2025. Night session. Lights blazing. Crowd energy so loud it feels like a third competitor. By this point, this wasn't just another slam final. It felt like a trilogy climax. Every rally carried memory from the previous battles. Every break point felt symbolic. And something subtle changed. The rivalry stopped being chaos versus control. It became adaptation versus adaptation. Two players trying to solve each other faster than anyone else could catch up. That's when rivalries become dangerous, because they create a feedback loop. Each player accelerates the other's evolution, and suddenly the rest of the tour isn't just chasing one champion, they're chasing two players pushing each other into new territory. Alcaraz plays like joy is strategy, emotion visible, momentum unpredictable. He invites risk and somehow makes it feel inevitable. Sinner plays like clarity is power, quiet intensity, precision that feels almost mathematical. And fans don't just watch styles, they watch identity. They pick sides. Because rivalry turns tennis into storytelling. Borg versus McEnroe felt messy before it felt historic. Sampras versus Agassi felt incomplete before it felt inevitable. Federer versus Nadal felt like a question before it became mythology. Legendary rivalries don't begin with certainty. They begin with tension nobody fully understands yet. And 3 slam finals in 1 year? That's not coincidence. That's acceleration. The next era of tennis might not belong to one dominant archetype. It might belong to contrast itself. Freedom versus control, emotion versus calculation, improvisation versus precision. And when those forces collide, repeatedly at the highest level, tennis doesn't just evolve, it reinvents itself. Tennis history doesn't arrive with an announcement. It grows quietly, match by match, moment by moment. Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner. Not just competitors, but opposing forces shaping how the next generation understands greatness. And if 2025 was only the beginning, then the real story is still ahead. So if you want to understand where tennis is going, not just who's winning, stay close to this rivalry. Because it's not finished. It's just getting dangerous.